America's Mayor Live. And live from New Hampshire, Dover, this will be our last broadcast here as we're headed home. And but we hope to be back. We love it here. We'll show you during the course of the show several videos. Notice we're actually in a barn, beautiful barn, but a barn nonetheless. Ted and I did this ourselves. We don't have like, what are they, experts, and did the whole thing ourselves.
You're kind of an expert.
Oh, you are too. I mean, you did more of it than I did.
Self-taught.
But I can say quite honestly that we both did it. And Dr. Maria had an overview and made some very, very good suggestions, having a woman's eye for it. There's Ted. When we have Stephen or Rob, they'll be sitting right next to him. When we have Dr. Maria, she'll sometimes sit there or she'll sometimes sit here and be a co-host. And it's a great location. Right outside is the stairway upstairs to my apartment. Ted's apartment is right over there, right near here, right over there. And in back of us is a gigantic field leading to the Great Bay that we had a nice outing on yesterday, and I showed you some of the photos. Well, I would say the puzzle for tonight is how do you interpret the Hamas agreement to give back the hostages? And if you read carefully, and let's see if this is doable from the point of view of the screen here. Let's see if you can put it up on the screen.
Okay. It's going to take a second if you want to start.
Well, I'm actually, what I'm going to try to do here. What I'm going to try to do is go down to the important language here, because there's a lot of gobbledygook in here, and as there always is, out of this and out of that, and some little shots at Israel and genocide, and if you get down to where it says, within this framework, and in a manner that achieves an end to the war and a full withdrawal from the Strip, the movement announces its approval of releasing all occupation prisoners, both living and remains, according to the exchange formula contained in President Trump's proposal. Well, that would be 72 hours from the time that Israel agrees, or Israel signs, if I recall correctly. So that's the timing of it, which makes it somewhat, it puts a couple of roadblocks in the way of just exactly how it's going to happen, which we'll explain in a minute. With the necessary field conditions for implementing the exchange, that also introduces ambiguity that could allow you to delay or withdraw. In this context, the movement affirms its readiness not to sign the agreement, to immediately enter through the mediators into negotiations to discuss the details. And that's where the devil is in the details. And therefore, this cannot be considered an agreement to the proposal. This is an agreement to negotiate the proposal. Once again, they introduce a major change. The movement also reaffirms its approval to hand over the administration of Gaza Strip to a Palestinian body of independence, based on a Palestinian national consensus and supported by Arab and Islamic backing. Is that what the Trump agreement said? Or did it say a committee of independents headed by him? So, Rudy's opinion, they're delaying. They're delaying. I don't know what they hope will change. Maybe more of them can escape. Maybe more of them can get their money out of the bank accounts they're in, the hidden bank accounts they're in. I think they've been chased out of Qatar. They probably have a backup plan, paying money to some Islamic dictator or whatever. But they're not ready to agree. They're ready to negotiate. I hope we don't give them more time. We've done that before. All it's done is lead to further death. There's a time in which you got to call an end to the bullshit when people are dying. This is it. The response should be either sign the damn thing or get ready to go see if there really are 72 virgins. And you got 24 hours to decide. Here's the agreement. Put your signature on it and deliver the hostages over. It's time that we stop being nice to a homicidal, insane group that is dedicated to the destruction of the Jewish people in the United States of America. That clear enough? Ukraine, I don't know if the same thing would apply there, but we'll get to Ukraine in a little while. But I think there are some positive developments with regard to Ukraine. So let's wait on, which I think we'll find out tonight or tomorrow, just exactly how this is interpreted. But I hope we don't add to it things that are not there. What is not there is an agreement to sign the Trump proposal. It's an agreement to negotiate it. And then as it restates some of the things that have to be done, it's entirely different. There is no point in fooling ourselves about it. Again, if we do, people will die. The shutdown, we'll know nothing about over the weekend. I doubt it. The House is out of session for next week. They're home taking care of their constituents, which after all is smart because there's nothing they can change or do in Washington until the Senate decides to vote on the resolution that in all likelihood would then come back to the House. Or if they sign it as is, it becomes law and the government's reopened. If they change it, it has to go back to the House because then it's a new bill. And a revenue bill has, and this is surely a revenue bill, right? A revenue bill has to, by the constitutional provision, be originated in the House, and he will bring him back on a moment's notice, or a day, if there's any chance that the Senate is going to do anything other than they did today, which is to vote 54-44 in favor, but they have to have 60. So there's now. I really believe it's still 55 because both have been reduced by one. I don't know that two senators had to have paired off, a Republican in favor and a Democrat against. So I think it's still 55-45 with one Republican on their side who will be on our side if we can get to 58 or 59. So I think we're at 56. We got to pick up 4 more senators, and they can't be Republican because with 56, we'd have every Republican. So we got to pick up 4 Democrats. There are easily 4 Democrats that if Schumer would take his greedy paws off them and traitorous paws off them, traitor to the Jewish people, they would vote for it, and this country could start, functioning normally again. Although, query, it does this really make any difference, and doesn't this show that the government is vastly overpopulated with people? And is this in some ways better that Trump and vote get a chance to pare down the government without anybody interfering, since they'll be out of session? And if they want to straighten it out, they're going to have to do it after the fact. And the court's been pretty darn good on the president's right to administer. The only one in which they've caved on, and they said they would in advance pretty much, is the Fed. So the weekend will be waiting on Hamas. And there was an article in the Post. I don't know. I think it's on the online edition yesterday, where the military chief, the guy who's in charge of Hamas on the ground, has bitterly opposed the agreement with some very, very strong objections. That's Izz al-Din al-Haddad, who was one of the major planners for and participants in the October 7, 2023 barbaric attack on Jewish civilians, American and Israeli, and is, in some ways, it's hard to tell who runs the damn organization, because the Israelis have, knocked off their leader, 2 or 3 times, and then they put somebody else up. So I would think, and I would look carefully to the opinion of the guy in control of the troops. In a situation like this, they have always historically turned out to be much more powerful than like in a democracy that has, civilian leadership. The attack in London was despicable, but it's a lot more than despicable. What it really was a clear warning that many parts of Western Europe, from which many of us ultimately came, is being overwhelmed with Jewish hatred, anti-Semitism, which of course created one of the worst humanitarian crises in the history of the world in the last century. And there's no reason to believe it isn't going to go in that direction again. This time, maybe even worse, since the group taking over has, a 1,400-year history of wanting to eliminate the Jewish people. I'm talking about the Islamics. It's always been a conundrum of history as to why it happened in Germany, because it was often thought that Germany was one of the least anti-Semitic European countries. Now, I don't know if that was a correct interpretation. I think there was something to it, and I think there's also something to the fact that Hitler was it's hard to see anything that would be remotely positive about Hitler, although I don't consider this positive. You can say someone is brilliant and evil. Satan is brilliant and evil. They're not inconsistent with each other. Being brilliant is not a sign of goodness. It can be used for good or bad. And I wouldn't say that Hitler was brilliant. He was extremely effectively conniving. And he did an enormously effective job of scapegoating the Jewish people for the problems of Germany, which came really from the end of the war and the treaty that ended World War I. And it came from within his own country and the corruption within his own country. The idea that Jewish people controlled the German economy because they were a somewhat bigger participant in that than other European economies is, of course, as ridiculous as the idea that they control Wall Street or the Jews control all the money or all this other stuff, which is, it's beyond sick. It indicates, you know, how someone is mentally ill, a person is mentally ill. It indicates that a civilization is mentally ill. And one of those mental illnesses is anti-Semitism. And it overwhelms even racism. When you consider how far back it goes and how prevalent it is and how ultimately violent it can become. And it has something to do and was accelerated somewhat by the blame for the death of Jesus. But it existed for 1,000 years before that. So, yeah, it was accelerated or given extra momentum, really by the blame for the death of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But then, really, taken to a new level by Muhammad. Their hatred of Christianity is equal, but focusing on Jews is easier because they're a smaller group of people. And then, of course, when someone came along that wanted to exterminate the Jewish people, which traditional Muslims want to do, they became I mean, please realize that these countries in the Middle East were allied with Hitler. The Grand Mufti of Palestine was a very close friend of Adolf Hitler. So I believe that we're being strung along by Hamas. And I think that we got to call an end to both that and Putin. And I think they feed on each other. As Hamas sees there being no movement, just talk on Putin, they become bolder. Now, I think they're somewhat wrong. And I'll have a chance to explain that. We're going to take a break, but I'll have a chance to explain that to you very, very shortly. Shall we take our break? U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process
for roasting. Deep green, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Well, last night was a great night for New Yorkers and for all those fans worldwide of the greatest franchise in sports history, the New York Yankees. Would you like to debate that with me? Show me 27 world championships any place else. Yes, yes, yes. It's been a while, but it still belongs to that one franchise. And it isn't that they haven't been competitive for it in each of those years, or almost all of those years. I mean, after all, they're going into the second round again, and it could be 28 this year. And I do think the Yankees, in some ways, spoil their fans, including me, particularly me, and then very strangely, my son, with a kind of repetition of it. What I mean by that is, I grew up in Brooklyn. My father was a Yankee fan. He made me a Yankee fan. See, that's why I like these stripes like this. It just makes me feel at home because my father took me home in a Yankee uniform. I took my son home in a Yankee uniform. I brainwashed him. I mean, the way the communists do and the Islamics do. I brainwashed him. But I brainwashed him about a baseball team, not killing people. I don't think I could have, been able to face my father up there if I hadn't made him a Yankee, if I hadn't made my son a Yankee fan. My father wouldn't talk to me in heaven. Hopefully we'll both be there at some point. But it was a great victory, just a great victory from a young pitcher throwing for the first time in a playoff, maybe the sixth or seventh time in the major leagues, against the team of his. It would be like my or Andrew pitching against the Yankees. I mean, obviously, if they pay me $12 million, I'd probably do it. I don't know. At this point in my life, I might not. Of course, I could leave it to my children, I guess. I would have to do it for my children. So let me just finish up on the agreement to agree. As lawyers, we often, as we're doing negotiations, we often look very, very carefully to whether we have an agreement or an agreement to agree. Agreement to agree is a lawyer's trick to try to continue the negotiations to get more of their side out of you. That's what this is. This is an agreement, not even an agreement to agree. It's an agreement to negotiate. It isn't saying, we're going to agree, but in the future. I mean, that really is usually a hidden agreement to negotiate. Here, they were quite specific about it, which I find surprising that the White House has painted it as we now have a deal. We don't have a deal. If the deal is to negotiate, we have a deal. If the deal is to end the war, we don't have that deal. We have an overall intent expressed that way. And then several poison pills of conditions like the overseers of Palestine have to be Palestinian. Whoa, that's completely different than the plan. So I don't know. I mean, there are several things that can happen from here. One, we could try to paper it over. I don't think Israel will let us do that. if they do, Bibi will be gone. The Israeli people are not going to paper this over. They can't. Their lives are at stake. They can't let Hamas in any way come back. It'll be worse. Hamas will try to get even then for what happened now. The second is, you just say enough's enough. You've screwed around with us too much. We would lose some of the precious Arab people, but they'll come back. I mean, they're interested in is money. They're over the religious part of hating Jews. And in fact, I think a lot of them want to do business with Israel. They'll yell and scream and go crazy if the president says, I construe this as turning down my offer. My offer was, here's the deal, sign it. And you're telling me you want to negotiate. I don't want to negotiate. This is the deal. Mr. President, if you do that, it's going to make getting what you want in Ukraine easier. The two of them being able to delay now based on bullshit enforces them in continuing to do it. And the only thing it is assisting is not getting a deal, it's getting people killed, particularly in Ukraine. I mean, all of this delay, a lot of Ukrainians, civilians have been killed. So it's time to impose a deadline and enforce it, and it should be real quick, like the weekend.
And Mayor, what do you suggest we do if they continue? So when we say hold them accountable, agree to the deal, set a deadline. If they don't meet that deadline, what is a potential response from us and Israel?
I would take a page from Putin's book. I would say, well, that's great. We'll negotiate, but meanwhile, the war continues. So Bibi, go do what you want.
Yeah.
And when they sign, we stop. But while they want to talk, yeah, you can talk. But we're going to continue to try to destroy all of you until you agree, because it's a tough job destroying all of you, and we're going to have to do that if you don't agree. So we're not taking any time out of it so you can rearm. What are we, stupid? So I would send them a letter back. Well, thank you very, very much for wanting to negotiate. We appreciate that. And you can start negotiating on Monday. But obviously, this is not a ceasefire. And I've told Prime Minister Netanyahu to do what he wants. I fully support him.
Right.
You'll be hearing from him. That's what I would do. And then I would spend the weekend destroying every place where I thought Hamas was located. They have to be bludgeoned into agreement or unconditionally defeated the way the Nazis were. This is not a country that we're fighting. This is a terrorist group. In the case of Hitler, it really, yeah, sure, they were the Germans, but it was the Nazi movement that we had to wipe out. Very similar here. Ukraine, the Ukraine is Ukraine is in an interesting transition at this point, and we have to see how it's going to play out. The president seems to have given Ukraine considerably more leeway in their ability to fight back against Russia. And if that means that they can use the Tomahawk missiles that they're getting and that they're going to be getting many more of in their own discretion to bomb Russia in return for Russia bombing them, I do believe we can get an end to this war. I think the strategy, as we've outlined over a period of time, has to be to hit Russia in Russia. There's a little risk, right? And of course, the risk is not a little risk, it's a big risk because they have nuclear weapons. But we can't let Russia control the world because it has nuclear weapons. Just the opposite. We got to take that leverage away from them. And it's not going to be done without some risk. I think the risk is minimal. So I think the risk of letting Russia continue is much greater, that they and China will achieve their objective. So I'd step back if I were the president, and I would say, I'm glad that you agree to negotiate. I did think you were ready to agree, in which case we could do a ceasefire, but you're not agreeing. So, excuse me, but the war continues. I'm out of it. But I certainly am not blaming Prime Minister Netanyahu for whatever he does, because you haven't given me the capability of really doing a ceasefire by agreeing to the terms that we laid out. I am sufficiently, I am capable of distinguishing between agreeing and agreeing to the agreement and agreeing to negotiate. In the Ukraine, I'd do essentially the same thing. Well, we can step back and say, well, we're not doing anything. We're just telling Zelensky, yeah, it's fair. If here you are telling us you want peace and you're bombing the shit out of Ukraine civilians. You're not even concentrating your efforts on trying to get that extra 25% of Donetsk, which we would oppose, but would understand. You're killing civilians. But the other day, they attacked like 6 different Ukrainian cities and bombed them. It's unheard of that you can bomb my country and I can't bomb you back. Since the president can say, as long as I thought there was a chance, and a reasonably good chance, that Putin was going to act like a reasonable human being, I kind of held off. But there's no chance of that now. So Ukraine's got to defend itself. Europe, here are the weapons. You want to give them to Ukraine? Fine. Ukraine wants to use them to hit Russia and take out its oil facilities. Hey, I'm not doing it. Ukrainians have visited with the U.S. in the last several days. Number one, to deliver to us a lot of their advanced study on the use of drones and help to us, because out of necessity, Ukraine became the center of the military use of drones. China, I mean, it's very hard to buy a drone that isn't Chinese. I attempted that a while back. I just am deathly afraid of having a Chinese-made drone in my house or in my possession. Yeah. Now, I am assured that they're really American companies and they're really, sorry. The drone is just a little over the line. Just seeing it and knowing it came from China, I think it's spying on me. So, yeah, I can get an American drone. Costs about $10,000. The Chinese drone costs about $500. The good news is, kind of like in the Second World War, Ukraine has quickly jumped to, well, they're number one with military drones, which has got to mean their drone technology is pretty much equal to China. So maybe with them, we can put inexpensive Ukrainian American drones on the market, and I can buy one, and Ted can. We can have one like Steven does. It was fun when he brought it here, right?
Yeah.
We noticed I didn't let him bring it in.
Right.
I think it's Chinese. It looks Chinese.
Yeah, we kept that thing at a safe distance.
Yeah, you stay out there. I'm not going to let you take pictures of my house.
No.
Freaking red Chinese.
We're not having that anywhere near Mar-a-Lago. Got to keep that thing away from Mar-a-Lago, Steven.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they don't allow you to use drones in Palm Beach anymore.
Yeah.
And they better not.
They better-
So
right.
I'll go shoot them down.
If we see one, we'll shoot it down.
Yeah, maybe we can be volunteers.
Volunteer protection.
The volunteer service.
Volunteer protective
with
unit.
Rudy and Ted.
Yeah, we'll take care.
And we got a lot of people that would
Oh,
come with
yeah.
us.
Palm Beach, we got a whole crew down there.
So the Ukrainians are also laying out a beautiful plan that I think Trump should love. He probably knows it. Ukraine is, of course, rich in natural resources. Ukraine also has an enormously big capacity for the storage of oil and natural gas. And a lot of this goes back even to Soviet days that were built by the Russians. What they could do is they could be the go-betweens in America, helping the European countries that we are demanding cut off the purchase of oil, natural gas, whatever, from Russia. It could be supplied by the pipelines in Ukraine, shipped there by the United States, because we have available, if not immediately within months, more than enough. We've got more natural gas than Russia. We may have more natural gas than in the Middle East. If not, we're very close. We have more than enough to take us through 8 or 10 years of substituting for Russia. We also have enough oil to do that. So if we're dealing with Hungary, let's say, and his good friend, and I consider him a good friend, Viktor Orban. If we're dealing with Viktor, who would have a difficult time with his people because they have a good relationship with Russia and they buy oil from Russia and they get a good deal. But I would impose on my friendship with Viktor and say, Viktor, we'll give you as good a deal with Ukraine. You just get it from the Ukrainian pipeline. It's even closer. And you'd be helping me because it's our oil or natural gas. And just cut Putin out until he gets reasonable. I think Viktor would agree, particularly if we solve this problem. This was a very creative suggestion by Ukraine, to which I give them a great deal of credit. Finally, what would extend that strategy even better is if they are going to hit inside Russia, which they should, and they have somewhat, but not deep. So focus on their oil and natural gas facilities. If you put the sanctions in place, if you put the secondary sanctions in place, and you bomb their damn facilities, it's not going to be very long before they don't have a thimble of oil to sell. Now, remember, they're a one-product economy, energy. Cut it off and you starve them. You starve them, Mr. President, Putin will agree with you, or it'll be somebody else that agrees with you, because they'll get rid of the bum. I don't have to talk about him carefully. I've met him. I made a conclusion about him standing at ground zero, that he was a cold stone killer. I didn't see in his eyes the same empathy for the dead that I did in everyone else that came there, just about, including some of the Arab leaders. I just saw a matter-of-fact guy where death is irrelevant. I mean, which is the way he's operating now, including with his own people. I mean, the casualties of the Russian army are absurd because they treat their troops like animals. They have many more casualties in Ukraine. Even now. I mean, they just use them as, they use their army the way Hamas uses children and then blames Israel. So I really think there's a very, very, very comprehensive strategy that could be put in place very, very quickly that would change the stalemate in Ukraine. And I do think we've changed the negotiating posture in Ukraine brilliantly. I think the president has. And now it's time to act on it. And acting on it means give Ukraine a chance to diminish them as an oil producing country. Combined with increasing the sanctions, which we're doing it slowly, but we're doing it. They have to be feeling it more now than they were a month ago, particularly with India being hit. I don't know, and I'm trying to find out what's happening with China, because I have a hunch that China doesn't want to be the only one buying Russian oil. But just in case they are, if we allow Ukraine, or we don't allow, but we don't interfere with Zelensky doing the best he can to take him out as an oil-producing country, they're going to win this war. Russia can't sustain that. And then Putin has too many mouths to feed. And those mouths will start eating him if they're not eaten. It happened once before, not too long ago. The Russian people are not maniacs. They got common sense, and they like to live. Maybe we should cut off their vodka. That'd do it.
that would end.
Well, the tariffs are producing unexpected amounts of wealth for the American government. And no one is raising well, let me tell you what the plan is. The plan with the president and with the Treasury Department and with OMB and is to put the vast majority of it, of the money that we make, into debt reduction, so it has a permanent impact and we don't piss it away, the way we Democrats have done with 3/4 of our revenues. But he got another idea. Wants to do a rebate. I think that's great, and you can say it's political. Well, the president is political. Every president's political. He doesn't have any power if he doesn't prevail politically. So I would support a rebate if that helps him keep control of the House and Senate, and particularly since the Democrats have announced their intention of basically freezing the government for 2 full years if they should get the House back by doing the same thing they did last time. Swalwell has already said that.
Swalwell.
Maybe he'll get
Where's Fang Fang?
He'll get Fang Fang back to help him.
Where's Fang
He doesn't
Fang?
look as good since Fang Fang left.
Nah, he gets beat up every day for that.
He doesn't look good. He doesn't look good. He's not getting something he was getting. But she got a lot for it too. She probably got all of our secrets. Since stupidly we had him on intelligence committees, and there he is, with the red Chinese. So I would also, but here you might screw yourself by bringing Congress into it, and the price of it might be having to pay for some of the Democrat crooked programs. I'd love it if the president could just pull a good deal of it and get our defense spending up to about 5% of GDP. Because at some point we're going to have to do that if we want to stay even with China. And at some point has already passed. And I understand that it isn't there. But this makes a big difference. Now, it is true, if you do it in debt reduction, in a way, you could leave more room because we're paying debt service. So you put it into debt reduction, you're going to pay less debt service, and that money could be moved over to defense without costing the taxpayers any money. So this is a very positive thing. And for all the complaining about tariffs, I would think that the complainers who have completely distorted this picture would at least credit the president with creating this surplus at a very, very necessary time. We tried to reach and haven't been successful in getting Nick.
Not yet. I'm calling him.
Nick is a good friend of ours. Nick Sorter is a good friend of ours.
We were with him on his first day of reporting, right? At East
Yes.
Palestine, Ohio. That's when he just
Yes.
started, and now he's
well,
huge.
he got arrested in Portland for reporting. And the video is clear as hell. I think Antifa runs the DA's office in Portland. And it was described as a targeted arrest.
Right.
Portland
I'm looking for the.
Portland is like a communist state within the United States. You're not in the United States when you are in Portland, Oregon. The governor allows it. Antifa controls it. The police go along with it.
You'll like this, Nick. Oh man, Nick's our guy right here. Nick knows what he's doing. Watch this, man. This is Nick. This isn't him getting arrested, but this is
They
him.
were
I wish I
punching?
was there with him. This is him saving an American flag that was being burned. Obviously, we want Nick to be careful.
Guy's got balls.
We got a Trump supporter. We got a Trump supporter right here.
Oh.
That's Nick.
He's
That's
putting it on
Nick in the
ground
blue.
And he's making it worse. And now he's standing on it. Now he's standing on it. You're not supposed to stand on it. Oh, now he thinks he's saving it. Your flames.
So they're burning a flag. Nick takes it right from him.
We got a Trump supporter. We got a Trump supporter right here.
Oh, he's
Puts it
putting
out.
it on the ground and he's making it worse. And now he's standing on it.
Liar.
Now he's standing on it.
That would be what we would do.
They really are communist pigs, Antifa. And I'm going to tell you, in the fullness of time, you will find out that they were the instrument by which Nancy Pelosi and her scum orchestrated January 6th to put all the blame on, allegedly Trump people. There are over 200 Antifa people in the Capitol, none of whom the FBI has identified, at least not then, maybe now. And that's not me. That's a text that I put out 3 days after September 11, January 6th. So Nick Sorter was arrested, held, he's out on bail, and we'll try to get Nick on Monday. We don't know where he is right now. Maybe he's on the lam. I don't know. Do you know what on the lam means?
That's an old term.
Yeah, you know what it means?
On the run.
Yeah.
Why does it?
Running from the police, really, right?
Well, why is it? Why is it? Do you know the origins of
Well,
it?
because the Portland police sound like they're part of the Antifa movement.
Right.
They had word that they had come there with targeted arrests, and he was one of the targeted arrests. Antifa put the complaint in on him. Yeah, get him off our backs, because nobody knows that for 100 days we have been storming the ICE building, destroying it, throwing things at people, and nobody reports it because they're all on our side. Now this guy comes along, everybody's going to find out, and he'll have pictures. He's done it to us before. Get him out of here. They want to. They have virtually controlled Portland, Oregon, since they took it over during the orchestrated Floyd Democrat riots and made it into an independent city. It's called secession, pals. We fought a civil war over that. And I would say the president would be perfectly justified sending the National Guard to take Portland back as a part of the United States of America. And we might want to do it for practice, because we're going to face this problem like Europe is if we don't get better control over the Islamic extremists. They're going to start a much bigger movement for Sharia law. I think we're 4 or 5 years behind England, France, and Germany, but they're there already with counties and certain areas that have conceded to Sharia law. Where are we in Michigan? You would know that, Ted. That's where it would happen if it happened
Sure.
soon.
Yeah, Dearborn.
Yeah, but there still is an American legal system in Dearborn.
Oh, yeah. You would think so. Well, between Sharia law and then we have a Jocelyn Benson, our Secretary of State. I mean, there's all sorts of
A secretary what?
Secretary of State.
In Dearborn?
No. I mean, I'm just making it why Dearborn and that they have such outsized influence. The Democrat Party in Michigan just kowtows to them.
Maybe we should ask Stephen to do a little investigating in Dearborn.
Yeah,
As to
absolutely.
How similar or not is it to Portland?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I would say it's different.
I know there have been outcries in the Islamic communities in Michigan for them to be subjected only to Sharia law.
Right.
What I'm wondering is, has it succeeded anywhere the way it has in Oregon?
That's what you're saying. Yeah, I don't think we're
Now, Sharia law hasn't, I should clarify that, as it has in Oregon with basically Portland being, you could call it lawless or under the dominion of Antifa.
Mhm.
It seems to me that Antifa bosses around the police department.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had a strong police chief in Detroit for years, Chief James Craig, who we know. But yeah, we have some real problems. However, hopefully, we're a Midwest state, Oregon being out on the left coast. Hopefully, cooler heads prevail.
Well,
I mean,
I'm going
Trump.
to put it on my agenda. So on Monday's
a big night.
I am going to, no matter what, no matter who wants to talk to me, except maybe the president, and no matter who wants me to delay or whatever, I'm going to get involved in the mayor's election, and I'll tell you who and how and why. And let me bring you up to date on it. I mean, so that you can. Mondani yesterday or into today has made it clear that he's going to do away with the gifted students programs in New York, which means that extra achieving children are in special schools that keep up with their both brilliance and their industry, their desire to study and their desire to become to develop their mind into a great mind. New York led the country in gifted public schools. I went to Catholic schools in New York that were excellent. The school that I went to was a scholarship school, Bishop Lachlan High School. Everybody in it were the top 1, 2, or 3 kids from their parish. But we were a very good school, but we weren't better than Bronx High School of Science or the 4 or 5. I mean, there were about 10 of them then. We were as good. We certainly were better in sports. But, and then the public schools, the regular public schools were competitive. Some were bad, some were good, some were good. None are good now. And de Blasio never could achieve doing away with them. At the very end, he did. And Adams, to his credit, restored them as soon as he came into office. Now Mondani has said he's going to do away with them as soon as he takes over. And there's nobody to stop him. The city council is as left-wing and crazy as he is. I know it's not elected yet, but it will be. I mean, this is a city council that voted for non-citizens to vote 3 years ago, even though the New York Constitution says you have to be a citizen to vote. That's downright, that's blatantly unconstitutional. He, by the way, Mondani, is a rich little shithead. He went to a $66,000 a year school all throughout grammar and high school, the bank school, left as hell, by the way. Not much of an education, but you pay a lot of money for it. I don't know what you learn in these woke schools, but the bank school is as woke gets. They probably come out as people who could list the 57 genders, but not the 10 commandments. They might not even know that there was a Moses. Could we play quickly Andrew Cuomo's commercial? Because to the extent that I'm weighing him, and there are people putting a lot of pressure on, I'm not going to say pressure. You can't pressure me. There's nothing I want you're going to get. But I mean, making very strong arguments. I'm going to send him this ad. It's not definitive, but it sure is a balance in the scale. I mean, he makes, I don't know who's running his campaign, makes him look like a little jackass.
How to make government work. I'll hire 5,000 new cops to partner with local community groups and keep our families safe. And we'll get the homeless off the streets and into the help they desperately need. There are a lot of jobs I can't do, but I'm ready to be your mayor on day one.
Let's watch from the beginning.
Cuomo. And I could pretend to do a lot of jobs, but I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And I do know how to make government work. I'll hire 5,000 new cops to partner with local community groups and keep our...
Notice he's not going to undo the tremendous damage he did. What he should say is, I'll take the 7,000 to 10,000 people walking the streets of the city of New York who are killers, murderers, rapists, and other miscreants, and I'll put them back in jail because I made a mistake in signing that bill. He could say, I'll treat a 15, 16, 17-year-old, who kills 5 people as an adult. And I didn't. I'm going to reverse my parole law, my change in parole that has released over 50 cop killers. Unfortunately, I can't put the top on the can any longer, but I can stop it from going forward. And I really apologize for releasing those cop killers. That's what he should do. The only reason to consider him at all is because Mondani is worse. But what he has shown in the past is, if the pressure is applied, he'll do anything to remain popular. And he did. And he's not taking responsibility for it. There are arguments as to why you wouldn't at this point. They have to be weighed. But the other thing that has to be weighed is, if you have a chance with commercials like that, he's not going to win. People are laughing at that. Him in the subway, there, here, there. You can only get a certain number of messages across with a political commercial. If the message he wanted to get across is he's the law and order candidate, the thing that dominates the commercials are the silly AI renditions of him doing stupid things that he doesn't do. They're not stupid for other people. They're stupid for him. You got to say to yourself, Mondani is ahead by 12, 15 points, and this is going to win an election? An AI silly commercial? And by the way, 5,000 cops isn't even close enough. They're almost 10,000 below what I have. Who's he fooling? So I got to look at the rest of his commercials and positions, which I will do this weekend, and I will listen with an open mind to the people trying to persuade me. It's It's quite unfortunate that New York is in this position. Instead of saying, "Oh my God, who can save us from this guy?" we should be looking for the best possible person for mayor. But we're not. We're not. We're looking for getting saved from hell. And as one columnist, I think Douglas Murray pointed out today, people are saying that maybe it's good for Republicans that Mondani wins because it'll help us win elsewhere. He says, be careful of what you wish for, because, and this is true, and Douglas is correct here, and you can get it from the mouth of an expert, the guy who ran New York. You could do permanent damage with 4 years. You could do permanent damage, and what's to say he doesn't get reelected? I mean, de Blasio did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Adams had to work at not getting reelected. Please remember that Wikipedia is a completely left-wing phony operation. It's a joke. They ban the New York Post, the Federalist, the Daily Caller, Newsmax, Fox. They're authoritative publications that they use are CNN, the New York Times, NPR, and Politico. And probably if Pravda was around, Pravda. I used to use them, and they are so left-wing biased, it's like reading something from Red China. Please don't support them. They're always begging for money. I doubt they get federal money. It should be taken away from them. But don't give them your money, and don't give them your patronage. You can find it. You can go to you can go to the encyclopedias that are online to get the information much better. You can go to BBC to get the information. You don't have to go to Wikipedia. And you're constantly at risk of getting the wrong information. I don't think there's a single entry that they have that isn't biased left-wing. They really are massive left-wing communist providers of propaganda. So please go over to,
Lindell TV.
Lindell TV. Listen to Dr. Maria. She's going to have an interview with Curtis Sliwa, who is the other alternative to the AI candidate, Cuomo, and the communist. And on Monday, we'll be ready and do the best we can to try to save our city of my lifetime. Congratulations to the New York Yankees. Thank you very much for giving us another week of baseball, those of us who love you. And pray that we get a solution, which means pray for the people of Ukraine, pray for the people of Israel, pray for the people of Iran, pray for the people of the United States, pray for our great president to continue to have the strength and health, keep him safe. It's a dangerous, dangerous world, much more than it used to be. And we thank you, God, for what you gave us. And we will take our responsibilities seriously. See you on Monday. Maybe over the weekend. We'll see. If necessary. Probably hope it isn't.
Last night here for now.
So go over to Lindell. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply